Hi there, welcome. I'm Diana. In this video, I'd like to talk about the items that we bring into our home. I know some people are not aware that whatever we bring into our home, it affects like the ambience, the energy field of our home. And we need to be careful of things that we actually bring in and I know someone whose husband, a friend of mine, this is going back years now, whose husband, even if he bought something like, for example, a shirt, and it's all like sealed in plastic, all nice and folded up, he would not wear that for nothing until she put it in the washing machine, washed it, and new clothes have this like really nice smell, at least most of them. So no matter how expensive this shirt was or any bit of clothing, he would actually have it washed. And he couldn't understand why that was so, but he just could not make himself wear anything that wasn't washed, that was new. And I know a lot of people now visit charity shops, even though most of them here in the UK have gone so expensive, like they're like deluxe shops, and some of them are even the items in there are even more expensive than in the ordinary shops where you pay for something brand new. But anyhow, especially this is for anybody really, but also like when you go to charity shops, you don't know where those clothes come from, right? It could be from someone who was ill, died, or whatever the case may be. And so I have known people who would actually buy clothes, shoes, even handbags, and not even give them like the shoes a little wipe or the handbag or launder the clothes before they wear them. They would put them on straight away. And that is not a good idea because, as I said, when somebody wears something, and especially if they wear it for multiple times, that essence of them is still there in some way, and you need to get rid of as much of it as you can by 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 washing these clothes, putting them out on the line to dry and get the sun on them, and so on and so forth. But it also goes for like anything that you buy, furniture, fridges, any piece of decor, plates, whatever, because you might go into a store and you might see, for example, a set of plates or even singular or cup. You don't know how long that cup or that piece of um, kitchenware has been there, and many people might take it up and look at it and turn it this way and that, and you don't know the mind of that person who at that time touched that object. And because everything that we touch, we leave like an imprint of ourselves, of our emotions, no matter how subtle those emotions might be. And this is why psychometry works. When you have like these psychic programs, and people will pick up an object and would tell you that such and such a person had it before, and so on and so on. They'll be able to tell you something about that person. And so, as I said, everything that you bring into your home needs to be cleansed, even if it's just given it a bit of wipe with some kind of disinfectant spray or something like that. Also, not to have too much of anything, like like where there's so much stuff you've got in your home that you hardly can breathe, or as I touched on in another video, where it just saps your energy when you have so much in your home. But everything that you bring in changes the frequency of your home, every single thing. And when there's so much of it, it's almost like you have lots of people in a room, and personalities eventually can start to clash and so on. And then there's like a disharmonic resonance and energy that permeates the place. And that even goes, for example, just sort of slightly digressing. Uh, I had a friend, but she was kind of like quite high volatile, and her hubby. And I would go into her home, and I think being so sensitive, I'd go in and I start to feel itchy and dirty and yucky, and I'd say to her, "Wow, that was a real whopper of an argument that you had." And she would say, "But how do you know, Diana?" And I'd say, "Because I can feel it. I can actually feel it." And sometimes I would have to cut short the visit. And I remember once when I went, it was just so bad, that feeling that I said to her, "Can I just use your bathroom for a minute?" And I had to go up there and literally like wash my face and wash my arms and wash my neck. And even though it made me feel slightly better, I couldn't stay too long. And I remember it was so uncomfortable because then I had to go via the bus feeling that yucky, and and then go home and have a complete shower from head to toe. And so she's told me afterwards that she would be mindful when I'm coming to visit to keep it down, and not to argue too much with her hubby the day that I was coming. So that was nice of her. But yeah, be aware that anything that you bring in your home, no matter what, give it a little cleanse. And if you can't clean it with water, just like put say some kind of positive affirmation mantra over it, because everything in your home has a consciousness, whether you realize it or not, and it's emanating like a particular like frequency. But you want that frequency to be nice or neutral, rather than the frequency of the person that or persons that touch that item, handle that item. I mean, if they're in a good state of mind, that's okay, but you don't know, right? Uh, what 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 state of mind that person was in. And I'll give you a quick example before I finish. There was, like, for example, eggs. Eggs absorb energy to the nth degree. And if you buy eggs, when you bring those eggs in your house, you take them and you wash them, and you say some kind of positive energetic wording over them, because they literally are like liquid life, and they absorbed it. And I remember there was a time, more than once, and I went shopping with a friend of mine, helped her with the groceries going home, and we got in, and then our children came in and they started arguing and arguing so badly over the slightest little thing. I didn't take much notice of it at first. I thought that it was like a kind of, children, but even though it was a real ding dong type of argument, and it happened over time more than once. And she had a habit of, some people put eggs in the fridge, even though when you buy them, they're not in the fridge, they're just open on the shelf. But she would put the eggs just on like the breakfast bar, and it hit me that, wait a minute, this has happened so many times. And I thought about it, and then I told her, I said, "You know what? It's those eggs. I know it's going to sound weird, but it's the eggs." Because that was the only common denomination. And it made sense because I told her, "Look, these eggs are live, they're liquid life, right? And they have the ability to absorb emotions, whether positive or negative." And those eggs, right, are in the store. They said they're open to everybody's emotions. They're open to the emotions of people who took them from the farm to the store, the shop, and they're handled like that. So every time like someone touched them, literally your emotions literally go into these eggs. They absorb them. And I remember thinking, you know what, I need more kind of proof. And so I meditated on this and I realized that was so. And also I I know someone who they eat the eggs, but after they eat the eggs, they say they felt sick, really sick. It's okay, you know, they don't feel sick before, but as soon as they eat the egg, they feel sick. And I thought, you know what, you're eating other people's negative emotions. So, one of the most absorbable food items of other people's emotions are eggs. If you eat meat and stuff like that, that kind of flesh thing, that that also the case. It's the case with those also. But eggs are like kind of like the number one absorber of people's emotions. So you should never, ever, ever eat those unless you first wash them and bless them and should I say bliss them. And but also if you eat anything like cakes that you bite out, that has the energy of either negativity or positivity. But what I'm saying is that whatever person or persons touch those items, they carry that energy. So we have to be so aware of this. And after I told her, my friend, I said, you know what? When you get these eggs, I tell you what, you should first wash them and and uh, and store them in I don't know some place where it's not that open. And she tried it, and I said like pray over it, or like give it some positive energy and just leave it out there deliberately when the children come in and see what happens. The change, it was just so incredible. Nothing like the fights they had. In fact, it was, there was good as gold, really. And it was only, I mean, she believed me, but before, but when she did that, and we did that, she said, "Oh my goodness!" And then she started to kind of like pester me with like more information. Have you got anything more like this, and so on and so on. But yes, it's just it was an eye opener to me because there's just so many things around us that affect us. There's just so many, and sometimes we don't even know, we don't realize. And like water as well. Before we drink water, we should bless it. Before we eat food, we should bless it. So just kind of be aware. And I thought I'll just touch on that. Okay, so uh, you know, until the next one. All right. Take care. Bye bye.